Ceratosaurus, a 1.3-ton dinosaur that can cause an infection with a single bite. This is probably one of the toughest matchups for any raptor player, and I'm sure we all agree with that. But what if I told you that there's a strategy to take these down relatively simple? In theory, you could even solo kill a Cera, especially as an elder OMNIRAPTOR. It is quite doable due to the additional 200 HP you have to work with. But how? You might wonder, surely a good Cera will consistently destroy a raptor. And the answer is, not really. Skill might be a big factor, but not as big of a factor as the ping that the Cera is playing. Both the raptor and the Cera have amazing agility. A bit of ping quickly offsets this doable fight into the realm of impossible. And even then, you can kill it consistently. But there's a catch. The catch being that if you mess up even a little bit, you will lose. Additionally, this only works currently with the elder OMNIRAPTOR versus a full-grown Ceratosaurus. And once elder Ceratosaurus gets released, this method will quickly lose validity due to the increased HP on the Cera, tipping the balance once again in the favor of the Ceratosaurus. It's all about playing with the wounded status, a mechanic that kicks in once a creature's HP falls below 50%. This will cause a reduction in bite force on the affected dinosaur. So we can apply a simple math formula to this fight. Now you will still need to have a certain baseline of skill to pull it off, and to understand when to go in versus when not to go in. But we are here to explain all that, right? So let's do that. Now I think the real first important part is knowing when to go in, when to risk trading, and when to stay away from the Ceratosaurus. The Cera has a mechanic called Charge Bite. You want to play around it, it's a must. If you ignore this mechanic and just trade into it, you will die in seconds. Additionally, the Cerato has the Bow mechanic, which inflicts bacteria on its targets, and if enough bacteria gets applied, you will vomit, getting stuck in an animation. And the charge bite when charged up inflicts more Bow than a normal bite or a low charged bite. So how do we play around this? How do we avoid taking those hits? And the answer is rather simple. It takes 4 seconds for a charge bite to reach its max potential of max damage and max power. So, whenever the Cera stops charge biting, you have 4 seconds to deal damage to it, go in on it, and avoid vomit mechanic for as long as possible. Additionally, if you do get hit and you see your stomach getting a little bit brown, wait it out. After a set amount of time, this will go away. Of course, you can always find a salt rock if one is nearby to quickly get rid of it. However, when you're in a standoff, you kind of cannot avoid it. In that scenario, you kind of just let it happen. However, there is a special way you need to go about this 1v1 setup. So, just to summarize real quick, to avoid getting absolutely destroyed, you go in after a charge bite, finish charging, and the player lets go of it, or if he misses the bite, after that you can quickly turn on it with a bite or an alt bite, and then you make distance again. Now, the strategy. How can you attack a Ceratosaurus and keep your HP? As you can imagine, if you start trading with the Ceratosaurus, that's not good for you. Alright, so the strategy for the 1v1. And I'm gonna show it from the Cera's POV, like how much damage this actually does to the Cera. I think it's the best way to showcase it. Alright. So once again, because I got healed. So damage bounce until the raptor has 10% stam left, right? Orange might bite first dips. It will dip to around 112. And the raptor jumps off. Actually lower. Amazing. Now, I'm already red. See what one thing does? Like, it puts the fight at such a disadvantage. So now I could fight him, but if he starts trading with me, I quickly get put on a minimum and I just die. So for everybody that thinks that Cera is this unbeatable force of nature, get fact checked. Yeah, this is the strat. You just put so much damage bounce into it that after the damage bounce you can face tank. Of course, there are factors such as trees, terrain, etc. But we can equally say, well, the raptor could stay above 60, get a stand back and do it again, and at that point you just die from a damage bounce. And if a Cera starts camping really hard, then yeah, it will survive. But it is no longer on your case. And as an OMNIRAPTOR, you can go about your day. The plains are yours. It cannot just walk you down and kill you because you are the danger. Yeah? In the open, you defeat this monster consistently if you play it like this. Now you might be thinking, but Nick, what about the body buff? Surely if you have a body buff, then the Cera wins this fight. Yes, it does. But let's ask ourselves the questions. How are body buffs created usually? Either the Cera has just killed something and you jump them. Horrible decision. Like in that point, you have already made a mistake by attacking them on the body buff. Why not wait the extra 20 seconds until it's finished eating? You know, like they will eat that food. If there's no threat, no reason to use the buff defensively, they will eat the food. It's very, very simple. I think a lot of this actually comes down to patience. Like, even when I see raptor packs going up against the Cera, the first and foremost reason why a body buff is created is because one, two, or maybe three raptors are being way too reckless. They think like we got a numbers advantage, we can just face tank him down. Then the unthinkable happens. One raptor dies, Sarah receives a body buff, and suddenly starts winning that fight and clapping some raptor ass. It's just a misplay on the raptor's part. That's the reason why the Sarah wins that matchup. It is not because Sarah is inherently stronger than the raptor. It is, but you know what I mean? There's no IQ used in this situation. Speaking about IQ, what I highly recommend doing. Actually, I'll just show it with a clip and explain it there. Alright. No. Remember what I said. When the Sarah stays at a tree, you can do one of two things. You can be like, well, I'm gonna go in anyway because I want to kill him so badly, and then you get killed. You know? But what if you just keep your brain? You just stay here. Like this plains is mine right now. Alright. The 2v1 strat. Damage bounce until 10%, and after that, alt bite the head. Prevent getting damaged early on. You really want to play a bit safe with the bounces. Our Sarah friend is in the bushes somewhere. He's in this bush. Hello. Also, run away in a straight line, because you're faster, right? But if you start swaying, then he might catch you. Well, just stay in the open and use your stamina for damage bounce. I'll do the same thing. No, no, no. Don't chase. Just like that we can get stamina. Yeah. Pull back towards me though. And he's dead. It's like after you spend all your stamina, you go for that alt-bite face tank. It's like every time he comes, like, let's say you're the Sarah, right? I go in, but then I backstab. So he's gonna bite in the spot where he thinks I'm gonna be, but I'm actually here. Setting him up for that alt bite. You do that a few times and you're good. Now, as you might have noticed, I did this fight as a 2v1. And I think, in general, even if certain individuals are capable of doing this by themselves, always have a minimum of 2 raptors for an adult Sarah. It just helps so much with the division of labor and the stamina that you need to do it. It also turns this battle into an almost certain win instead of this gamble situation that you have to do as a 1v1. Because in a 1v1, if there's terrain involved, and a lot of terrain, like you saw us having to dismount a few times, every dismount is 5% stamina gone, is 50 damage gone from what you're supposed to do. 50 damage, 65 bite force, that's almost a full bite that you have to do extra. So every dismount kind of adds 1 bite to the equation. You don't want that. You want to keep it as tight as possible so that your stamina bar can handle the task ahead. So a minimum of 2 guys. You can be John Wick, and go solo on it, trying to make it happen. And if you catch him in an open field, you can do a full damage bounce on him undisturbed. Hey, you probably got that one cat in the bag, man. Like you saw the example earlier with the bite force reduction and then the 2 bites killing me. But in general, 2 raptors, bare minimum. Let's set that as a little rule. And there's also this little exception, right? The exception being if there's more than one Sarah and there's a body buff involved, in that case, you want to go for bleed. Because the problem is with fighting two Ceras is that if you're gonna win, one of them is going to die. When Cera eats, it has this immunity from taking damage unless you're pouncing and using a lot of stamina. But that immunity combined with Gastro is a powerful weapon for the Cera. So go for bleed. That's the one thing they cannot Gastro. And it's only on multiple Ceras. If it's one Cera and it has a body buff, you wait for it to take the body buff before you attack. Like, let it consume it or fight it outside of the body buff. If there's two, you go for bleed. And a bare minimum of raptors that you want for the two Cera fight is 5+. So that you can rotate properly and while team members get stamina. You know? That always somebody is on top of them and they cannot just sit down and counter your bleed entirely. So 5 raptors, give or take, is perfect for that task. And even then you have to be careful because pouncing 2 Ceras is suicidal in its own right, especially if they're right next to each other. What we personally do is we try to split them apart and then we basically pounce them. So that's how you go about that one. Alright, let's proceed to the grapple. We're gonna do a Cera grapple. First person get on the back of his, on the back. Switch if you have to. And the other two join in real quick. Fast. There we go, damage bounce. Left mouse button, arc. Yeah, but that's how you kill a Cera real quick. It's really easy. It just becomes tough when people don't know what they're doing. Alright, that was a grapple. I'm gonna show you guys another example of how fast this fight can be over when you have an Omnipack. Some people, and honestly, I don't mean to insult anybody, but I do not know how you guys do it. That I see like an entire pack dying to one Cera. That is outright crazy to me. Let me show you guys why. Because it can be over in seconds. Now we have 3 raptors that know how to approach this fight, and we have 3 people that are random. So you can see the difference. So what I do on this fight is just I wait until the mouth closes and then I sneak in for a nibble. Alright, I took damage, so I'm gonna start converting. And this is over. You kill. Poor guy. Yeah, literally. Well, we can run it again, Alex, use terrain to your advantage. Use the grass and the trees, the leaves and the rock and the water and the sky. No. It's actually better footage if you try your best to still get fucked. To be honest. Otherwise you have comment section people are like, yeah, but that Cera played it horrible. I would have been able to do it better even in my sleep. Yeah, you get those people. Well, we know better. You always have some naysayers, especially Ceratosaurus fans. But honestly, even if the Cera was Mr. Grey himself, we would body him. I don't care if God is controlling it. It's simple game mechanics. If 3 raptors go on him, and it doesn't matter what your name is, you could be Dundee himself, you would still get grappled. Alright. Yes. Exactly. There's no time to get to the terrain. It happens fast. And because you get slowed when the raptors get on. Yeah, exactly. So basically, multiple raptors against a single Cera, that's just, there's no way. So, yeah. Basically that's it. Very straightforward strategy. You use the lion's share, or I should say, you use the majority of your stamina to damage bounce with, whittling down the Cera to such a low HP that after that a face tank becomes remotely viable in a 1v1. Most likely to win in a 2v1, and in a 3v1 you were gonna look for grapples. Remember, the more raptors latch onto something, the slower something gets. So even if it's running to a tree, you just get in there, get onto the Cera before the Cera touches the tree. It's just a little race. Like, are you faster than the Cera can reach the tree? Yes or no? It's just a matter of speedy execution and game knowledge and sheer balls of titanium. Because I know most people, they see a Cera, they're like, oh boy. And I don't blame them. So yeah, very short and powerful Cera guide. You can summarize this entire video essentially into do a damage bounce and after that bite it to that. That's literally what it is. So yeah, you guys should try that out. Let me know down below in the comment section how that went. Keep in mind, watch out for bad terrain. It is completely okay to say like, I'm not fighting it right here. You see a Cera standing on a cliff with 70 trees next to him, and then water on one side, and somehow he has, one of those plants that knock you off, and he's standing in it. It is completely okay to say to yourself, like, hey, you know what? Not here, not now. You just back off. You don't always have to murder them. And as long as you're occupying your own favored terrain, like if you are hunting in plains, come across them, like we both know, that in the South Plains, you'll find Ceras. Around Volcano area, you'll find Ceras. They do show themselves into plains. They do act very cocky when they run into you in the plains. They want that fight. And you just destroy them. But otherwise, remember, you're way faster than a Cera, and a fight between a Raptor and a Cera can only occur if the OMNIRAPTOR is consenting to it. So, unlike the Carno, it is not really a threat that you have to face. It is very, very optional. Alright. Let's have a look which dinosaur we're gonna be covering next. Hopefully it's something more interesting. Oh. The Dilophosaurus. I could say Deinosuchus, but do we really want to do a croc? Deinosuchus or Dilo? You guys choose. Let me know in the comment section which one you want to see next.
And I promise you, if it's Deinosuchus, it's gonna be a very short guide.